There are mornings when the simple act of opening your eyes already costs too much. The heart wakes up before the body, and it arrives heavy, carrying everything that sleep couldn't erase. Worries, fears, longing, disappointments, the feeling that the world keeps spinning but something inside you has stopped. It is precisely in that moment, in that fragile space between night and day, that this prayer is born. Not as a mechanical ritual, not as memorized words, but as a breath from soul to soul. A daughter who wakes up and, before anything else, reaches for her mother's hand. Our Lady does not wait for you to be okay before you come close. She does not require you to have the right words, the perfect faith, or the strength you lack. She waits for you exactly as you arrived, with eyes still heavy from sleep, a heart still hurting, and hope still trying to find its footing. And there is a promise that holds all of this together, a promise that Jesus himself made, recorded in Matthew 28:20. I am with you always, even to the end of the age. Not some days, not only the easy days, every day, including today, including right now. This prayer is for you who wake up and need to be reminded that you are not alone. Before we begin, leave the names of your family members so we can pray together for your family. Subscribe to the channel because together we will spread the word of God and the love of Our Lady to those who need it most. Good morning, Our Lady. I came to you before anything else, before the noise of the day begins, before obligations come knocking at the door, before the world demands from me what I'm not yet sure I have to give. I came to you first, because I learned the hard way that when I don't do this, the day feels different, heavier. Mother, you know how I arrived this morning. You know what was left unresolved yesterday. You know what woke me in the middle of the night. That thought that asks no permission and keeps no schedule. You know the name of the person I'm worried about. You know the size of the burden pressing on my chest. You know the longing that won't pass, the wound that hasn't healed, the question that still has no answer. You know, and even so, here I am, standing, awake, breathing. That is already grace, Mother. I know. There are days when I wake up and the exhaustion is already there, settled in, as if rest never truly came. The body gets up, but the soul still drags its feet. And I find myself wondering, where will I find the strength for one more day, for one more battle, for one more difficult conversation, one more bill, one more weight, one more disappointment I don't yet know is coming but that fear already announces? It is in that moment, Our Lady, that I remember you, not as a distant image, not as a sacred and untouchable figure looking down from above, but as a mother, as one who has carried real pain, truly carried it. You know what it is to watch someone you love suffer and be able to do nothing but stay. You know what it is to have your heart pierced. You know what it is to face the dark night, the silent doubt, the weight that has no name but has every bit of weight, you know, and that is why I trust you. Mother, I came to you this morning with everything I am, and with everything I cannot be on my own. I came with my weakness in my hands, because I learned I don't have to hide it from you. I came with my fear wrapped around my chest, because I know you will not judge me for having it. I came with my faith, sometimes steady, sometimes trembling, sometimes nearly invisible, and I know you tend to it when I cannot. There is a kind of exhaustion no one sees. It is not the exhaustion of someone who ran too much. It is the exhaustion of someone who held on too long. The exhaustion of one who was strong for too long, who smiled when she wanted to cry, who said, "I'm fine," when she was falling apart inside, who kept going when everything was screaming to stop. That is my exhaustion today, Mother, and I bring it to you not to complain, but to lay it down, to leave it here at your feet, this burden I carry as though it were my responsibility to fix everything, mend everything, endure everything, because I forgot, or perhaps never truly learned, that I was not made to carry this alone. Our Lady, you are the first face I want to see when I wake. Not because my life is perfect, not because I have all the answers, but because when I come to you, something changes. Not always in a dramatic way, not always with visible signs, but something deep inside grows still, like when a child stops crying not because the problem disappeared, but because her mother arrived. That is what you do in me, Mother. You don't need to fix everything for me to feel less alone. You only need to be here, and you are. You always have been. This morning, as every other, you were already here before I opened my eyes. Thank you for waiting for me. Thank you for not giving up on me on the days I nearly gave up on myself. Thank you for staying in the moments when I didn't even know I needed you. Thank you for being exactly what you are. Presence, welcome, tenderness, when the world outside seems to be nothing but demands, rushing, and coldness. Mother, I came to you, and that alone, that simple act of coming, of seeking, of not beginning the day without you, is already a form of faith, already a prayer, already a step in the right direction. Stay with me today. Our Lady, I need to tell you something. There were moments in my life when I thought I was alone. Moments when the silence was so heavy that I mistook it for absence. Moments when I prayed and heard no answer. Moments when I waited and the sky seemed closed. Moments when I cried and no one came. And I thought, forgive me, Mother, I thought you had gone away. But today, with a quieter heart and slightly more open eyes, I can see what I could not see before. You never left. You were there. In every moment I considered the darkest, you were the only light I didn't know how to recognize. Do you remember that night when I couldn't stop crying? That night when the ground disappeared beneath my feet, and I no longer knew who to trust, what to believe, where to go. That night when I felt so small, so lost, so incapable of going on. I didn't know, in that moment, that you were there, sitting beside me in the dark, not with words, not with explanations, simply with presence. It was you who held my heart that night so it wouldn't shatter completely. And do you remember that morning when I woke up with no will for anything? When the simple weight of the day already felt too great before it had even begun? When I looked in the mirror and didn't recognize myself, not in my face, but in my eyes? That empty gaze of someone who is tired of fighting and yet knows she must go on. You were there too. It was you who placed, without my noticing, a small but sufficient strength inside me. Not large enough to make me feel invincible, but real enough for me to get up, to take the first step, to cross one more day I thought I wouldn't survive. Our Lady, I need to acknowledge this today. I need to stop, in the middle of this morning, in the middle of this life that never pauses, and acknowledge that your presence did not depend on my perception. You were not absent simply because I couldn't feel you. You did not abandon me simply because I couldn't hear you. My inability to see was never your absence. You were always here. On the days when bad news arrived and I needed to breathe deeply to keep from breaking, you were there. On the days when I had to be strong for someone I love, while I was falling apart inside, you were there. On the days when I failed, when the guilt was greater than I could carry, when I thought I no longer deserved grace, you were there. Mother, you were present in places I no longer even remember. In the decisions I made without knowing I was being guided, in the doors that slammed in my face and that, only much later, I understood were protection, in the people who left my life and left behind enormous pain, but made room for something I needed and didn't yet know. You were in all of it, working behind the scenes of my story. There is something that pain does to us that is deeply cruel. It distorts time. When we are suffering, it feels as though it has always been this way and always will be. Pain has a way of consuming everything: memory, the present, hope. And when that happens, it is very easy to forget the moments when you were held, the moments when the crisis passed, the moments when the impossible became possible in ways you never expected. I forgot many times, Our Lady. I need to be honest with you. I forgot the graces I received. I forgot the prayers that were answered, sometimes in the way I asked, other times in a way I didn't understand at the time, but that was better. I forgot the small miracles that happened in the middle of ordinary days, and that I called coincidence because it was easier than stopping to give thanks. Today I remember. Today I choose to remember. I choose to make the difficult and necessary effort of looking back, not to be imprisoned by the past, but to recognize the trail of graces that is marked throughout my story, to see that in every moment I thought I was alone, there were footprints beside mine that I didn't know how to recognize. They were yours, Mother. And there was something even greater, the promise that Jesus himself left behind, a promise with no expiration date, no deadline, no exception. I am with you always, even to the end of the age, every day. That difficult day was still a day. That dark night was still part of the age. That moment when I felt most alone in the world, it too was covered by the promise. I was covered by the promise and didn't know it. Our Lady, today I know. And knowing changes everything. It doesn't eliminate the pain, doesn't erase the challenges, doesn't guarantee the road will be easy, but it changes the way I walk. It changes the weight I carry. It changes the quality of my fear, because a fear that is accompanied is different from a fear that is alone. You never left me. Not when I pulled away. Not when I doubted. Not when I was ungrateful, distracted, too busy to pray, too tired to seek. You didn't give up on me when I nearly gave up on myself. You didn't leave when I did. You stayed and kept interceding, kept covering, kept being a mother even when I forgot to be a daughter. That is love, mother. Not the love we learn from movies, that shows up when everything is beautiful and disappears when things get ugly, but the love that stays, the love that does not depend on being deserved, the love that crosses silence, distance, ingratitude, and doubt, and remains. Thank you for that love. Thank you for every time you stayed when I didn't deserve it, for every prayer you carried to your son when I had no more words, for every time you interceded for me without my knowing, without my asking, without my expecting. You never left me. And today, as I wake up, as I open my eyes to one more day I don't yet know how will unfold, I begin with that certainty in my heart, not as a feeling that comes and goes, but as a truth that has stayed. You never left me, and you never will. Good morning, Mother. Let me say that again, slowly, with intention, with an open heart. Good morning. Good morning because you are here. Good morning because I am here. Good morning because despite everything, despite the exhaustion, despite the uncertainties, despite everything still unresolved, this day arrived, and it arrived with you inside it. That alone is reason enough to call it good. I know not every morning feels good. I know there are days when the sun rises and the heart is still in the night. Days when the bed is the only place that feels safe and the world outside seems too large, too demanding, too harsh. Days when the list of problems wakes up before you do and is already standing, impatient, waiting. I know those days, Mother, and so do you. But today I choose to begin differently. Not because everything has changed, not because the problems disappeared overnight, but because I have learned, slowly, with stumbles along the way, that the way I begin my day shapes the day, and that beginning with you, with this conversation, with this presence, with this certainty, is the difference between dragging through the day and walking through it upright. Our Lady, today I want to renew something inside me. Not a grand promise I won't be able to keep, not a solemn vow full of beautiful words that vanish at the first difficulty, but a simple, honest, real choice. The choice not to forget that you are with me. The choice that when the day tightens, and it will tighten, I will remember that I am not alone because I am not. Matthew 28:20 is not just a pretty phrase to frame on the wall. It is a living promise. It is a word that came from the very mouth of Jesus and does not return to him empty. I am with you always, even to the end of the age, every day, this exact day that is beginning right now with all its unknowns and challenges is already covered by that promise. I will not face today alone. And do you know what that means in practice, Mother? It means that when the difficult conversation happens, I will not be alone. When the news arrives, good or bad, I will not be alone. When exhaustion hits in the middle of the afternoon and I feel I can't go on, I will not be alone. When longing tightens without apparent reason, when anxiety tries to steal my peace, when fear tries to paralyze me, I will not be alone. You will be there. Jesus will be there. And that which seems too simple to be enough, is exactly what sustains me. It doesn't need to be complicated to be real. It doesn't need to be grandiose to be powerful. The presence of a mother beside her daughter needs no explanation. It only needs to exist, and yours does, Our Lady. Mother, I want to ask you something for this day. I won't ask you to fix everything. I've learned that's not how it works, and that many times, the process of walking through things is precisely where transformation happens. But I will ask you to stay close, so that in the moments when I forget who I am, you remind me. So that in the moments when I falter, you intercede. So that in the moments when I am about to give up on something still worth holding on to, you whisper in my heart that it is too soon to stop. Stay close to me today. Stay close to the people I love, those who are suffering and whom I don't know how to help, those who are far away and whom I carry in my heart, those who don't even know they need you but do. Bring to them the same care you have for me, the same gaze, the same tenderness. Because if there is one thing I have learned about you, Our Lady, it is that your heart has no limit of space. You do not love one daughter less because you love another more. You do not divide, you multiply, and that fills me with gratitude because I know the people I place in your hands are not forgotten. They are cared for. Mother, this day that is beginning now will have moments I cannot predict. There will be surprises, some good, others that will test me. There will be people who will demand from me, situations that will challenge me, thoughts that will try to knock me down. And at some point during the day, perhaps I will forget this prayer. Perhaps I will get lost in the noise, the rush, the demands that never stop, but you will not forget me. That is the difference between my limited faith and your limitless love. I may forget, you will not. I may get distracted, you will not. I may pull away, you stay. And that is precisely why this prayer is not a magical protection ritual that depends on my perfection to work. It is a conversation between an imperfect daughter and a mother who never gave up on her. A conversation that can begin again at any hour of the day. If I arrive at noon broken, I can begin again. If I arrive in the afternoon with anger, with fear, with doubt, I can begin again. If I arrive at night exhausted and ashamed for having forgotten you for hours, I can begin again. You do not charge for the time I spent away. You celebrate the moment I return. That is what makes you a mother unlike anything the world has to offer. Our Lady, as I close this prayer, or rather, as I turn this prayer into a day, I want to carry one thing with me, just one, small enough to fit in a pocket, large enough to change everything. I am not alone. I am not alone when I wake up with a heavy heart. I am not alone when I face what seems impossible. I am not alone when I cry without quite knowing why. I am not alone when I laugh, when I breathe, when I take one step at a time toward what I cannot yet see clearly. Not one moment of this day, not one second, not one breath will I be alone. Jesus promised. You confirmed it with your entire life, and I choose to believe. Good morning, Our Lady. Good morning, my Jesus. I am here. You are here. And that, only that, is already enough for this day to be exactly what it needs to be. Amen. If this prayer touched your heart today, write, "I am not alone" in the comments. Let your faith inspire other women who also need to hear this today.